Legomnews here, and welcome to my first video of 2023 to celebrate today's launch of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumaina. And here I have Ant-Man himself, the Wasp, and our new big bad, Kang The Conqueror. So, guys, I meant it when I said in that announcement video that I was going to be putting my time and effort into these figures, and I truly did. I started this project like in mid-November because I knew these figures were going to take a while for me to make. But some of you might be asking, Legomnews, where's Cassie? Did you say you were going to make Cassie in that announcement video? Well, I only have one thing to say to that. Is because all the amount of shit I had to go through in my life. I had to go through so much crap in my life. I had to travel in December. I was gone like for 10 days. And I had to do exams right when I came back. And those exams were just literal hell for me. And I did not enjoy them. But I passed, which is good. But guys, these figures were just so challenging. It's like I'm shooting like on like the day the movie came out. The movie comes out today, and I was just like working on these figures on and off like last night, just trying to get them done for the showcase, and it was just insane for me. But I managed to pull it off, and yeah, let's get started.
I don't know who you are, but you've made a big mistake, okay? I'm an Avenger.
Starting off with Ant-Man, Scott Lang, Paul Rudd himself, the ageless actor who just never seems to age whatsoever. But with all jokes aside, this was the first figure I started on this project. I started this figure like right before, like I think right before I announced I was going to be doing Quantumania figures. And this figure took me about a month to make. A month. This amount of time that this figure took This amount of time this figure took to make. A month. I'm not kidding. So, yeah, it took me about a month to make this entire figure. And the helmet was, I think, the most tedious part. I think it's like the part that took me the longest to do. But, yeah, let's get started. So, starting off with the helmet, of course. The helmet is fully sculpted by me. This isn't a custom Lego piece. This is 100% sculpted by me. And dude, this has to be one of my best sculpts I've done to date. Because I had to make sure I got this helmet right. I wanted to get this helmet as accurate and as right as possible. Looking at all the reference I had and just seeing how I was going to make it. So I first started sculpting the helmet like on a Thursday night, and I spent until like 4 a.m. just trying to sculpt like the base helmets. Then like throughout the weekend, like the weekend Wakanda Forever came out, I'll basically just be shaping it around just to get like the shape accurate. And especially the breather. I had such a hard time with the breather because before it looked so smushed in when I first sculpted the base. But then I kind of like just made it a little bit wider and just tried to get it to look more like Ant-Man because it looked really smushed in. But, yeah, and then, so it took me like a full weekend just like to fully sculpt the thing. But it took me 9 days just to paint the helmet itself, and that was just a tedious amount of time for me to paint this helmet. Because I was looking at all the reference pictures, and I was trying to make sure where, like, how I was going to paint each design, you know, how I was going to paint the breather, or the designs on the antennas, especially these circles, or especially these discs around the helmet, the ridges on the top of the helmet. It was just a very tedious process, and a helmet I did not want to screw up in, and I bet I did so well on this helmet, and the fact that I managed to do this helmet with very crappy and like very blurry images that the helmet gets. All I had by the time around the time I was making this helmet was like that one concept art that was revealed in a Comic-Con, and then the first trailer. That was like the only reference I had for the helmet and for the figure itself, and a few images as well. But, yeah, man, that was just an insane process, and the fact that I spent until 4 a.m. just sculpting this just makes me question what did I even do, but it was completely worth it. So, yeah, and also, like, there's no unmask. I don't think I'm going to put, like, an unmasked head. If you want an unmasked head, then here you go. Here you go. If you want, like, an unmasked head, you want to unmask Paul Rudd head or Scott Lang head, there it is. I just used Shang-Chi's head, but but whatever. Okay, so just removing that now. But yeah, moving on to the torso now. The torso was also very tedious for me to do because of like the amount of like design I had to paint, because I was like trying to figure out how I was gonna paint the design, because in its previous suits it was pretty much like this area, like the top section here was pretty much like straight. It was like straight, and it really didn't have that circle there, and that circle was like a big challenge of painting the torso, because I was trying to paint around the circle, paint on, just trying to get to look as clean as possible. And my God, that was just insanely tedious for me to do. And like I think at one point I had like the torso, like designed the torso just a little bit down. So I pretty much had to repaint the top, and it was just ridiculous. And I just didn't like that whatsoever. But yeah, you can see all that painted detail that I painted on there. It was just insane. You can see some metallic black highlights around there, because I think it looked just a little bit bland. So I just painted some metallic black outlines instead of gray. See that design there. The belt is a 3D piece. The regulator is sculpted, while these two pieces are 3D pieces on top. And the section right behind the regulator is a 3D piece as well. Taking the arms in a different way now. I'm just attaching them to this lightsaber blade, and this is actually how I do paint the arms. It's kind of like the way I do paint the arms. But the arms were also a very big challenge. Painting minifigure arms is always a big challenge on its own, because you're trying to get them to look the exact same and consistent with one another. And that was not easy for me to do in this case. As you can see, this one does kind of this design is kind of just going just a little bit down. But it looks good. I think this arm's like the best looking one, but whatever, they're both good. Look good with a figure, that's what matters. And as you can see, all that paint detail there. I didn't really paint like any hand detail, because I'm just getting sick of having to paint hand detail now, because I know that the design is gonna wear off no matter how many layers of sealants I put. And I was originally I was actually planning to sculpt like these shoulder pads here, because in the movie they look like they seem to have like a lot of bulk to them. But I really didn't want my anime figure to look bulky or anything, so I just decided just to paint the design on. Could have made it just a little bit thicker, but overall it just looks good on its own. So yeah. So moving on to the rest of the figure, the back was just whatever, because I really didn't have too much reference for the back. I gotta wait until like the second trailer came out, but I was just wanting to be done with this figure. But as you can see, the back is just pretty simplistic. The pack here is just a 3D piece with some paint and gunmetal, and the gunmetal color is actually the same gunmetal color I used on my Captain Marvel figure for my Illuminati project, and a few other figures as well. And I also forgot to mention that this color, like this over here, like that dark silver, is kind of like my own custom mixed color that I used just to paint, just for not to look silver. And you can see all that paint detail onto the back. I only had like one blurry image of the back, which just sucked for me, but whatever. You see some metallic black highlights, and the belt here is also 3D piece, so I really didn't want to paint anything on, because I just didn't have the reference to. So I just painted 2 silver lines, and that was pretty much just it. And I might paint some detail there after the showcase, but whatever. And also, I forgot to mention that I also did paint the red buttons on the hands for Ant-Man, because I think those look cool. And I did that last second, by the way. The legs, you really can't skip leg day with Lego minifigures. In this case, the legs were also tedious, but not as tedious as before. I mean, Wasp and Kang's legs were also beyond tedious for me to do. But we'll get to them. As you can see, all that painted detail around the legs looking pretty good. You see that silver design going around here. And just going onto the back of the legs. And of course, the minifigure's legs are painted on all 4 sides, as you can see right there. So that's pretty much gonna do it for Ant-Man. I love the way this figure turned out. I kind of wanted to, I basically put them on all my figures of 2022, but I'm still gonna count this as a 2023 figure. But yeah, I know a lot of people are not a fan of this Ant-Man suit, but I personally don't mind it. I still think his best suit is from Ant-Man and the Wasp, but yeah. But yeah, overall that's gonna be it for Ant-Man, and now let's move on to the next figure.
What are you so afraid of? There's something I never told you.
Moving on to Wasp, Hope Van Dyne. This figure was just tedious on its own, and especially when it came to the wings. We'll get to that, and the helmet. But yeah, this figure was like tedious on its own because of like the amount of, because like it looks a lot more comic accurate. And that was like a big challenge on its own to make this figure. But the helmet and the wings were most likely were by far the most tedious part of making this figure as a whole. So starting off with the helmet. The helmet is fully sculpted by me, and this helmet actually did take quicker to make because Ant-Man was kind of like a bit of like a practice for me to make the helmet, and it looked so well. And especially in Wasp's case, it looks a lot more skinnier, it looks a lot more thinner, and just looks a lot more, just looking a lot different. But I still had to keep it consistent with Ant-Man's helmet, and I did take some inspiration from MGF Customs Wasp helmet, and also the wings. The idea were inspired by his. But yeah, like the Wasp helmet was like not hard to sculpt, but very tedious to paint, because when you look at reference pictures of her helmet from the movie, it looks very, like, you don't even know which colors are which, and that was like a big challenge for me. Like I wasn't sure if like this part was gonna be gunmetal or that part was gonna be silver or gold, or it was just so hard for me to map out the design and colors of Wasp's helmet. It was just ridiculous for me to do until I decided just like to paint I decided to paint all the designs in black Like decided just to paint like the designs, paint black outlines just to create the designs, and then I would go with over that with with gunmetal, silver, gold, and black, gray, all the colors that you see here. And that was just a ridiculous process for me to do. And as you can see, the eyes are engraved. Like I did engrave the eyes on this helmet, which gives it that good look. And one thing I forgot to mention with Ant-Man and Wasp is that in the movie you can clearly see their eyes. And MGF Customs did this cool mod with his Ant-Man and the Wasp figures, where he added like a transparent visor, and that was such an insane mod for me to do, and I didn't want to do that. So I decided just like to go with the painted version. And if I did paint the eyes, it would just look so weird. So I decided just like to paint the color. I decided just to paint a solid color, and Wasp is just gold instead of yellow. Yeah, you can see all that paint detail there. You can see all the paint detail like on the back of the helmet right there, looking pretty clean. And I think I don't know like if this paint job is better than Ant-Man's. I'm not sure, but yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below. So the torso, so like I believe you guys want to talk. So I believe we're going to talk about the wing. I believe you guys want to know how I made the wings. So the wings were heavily inspired by MGF Customs, and he basically for the wings he did for his Wasp figure, he basically cut out like a bit of transparency paper, which I did borrow that transparency paper from my mom. I think that's something that is used like for laminating, and I basically just cut them out to the right shape, which was just messy for me to do, and also very sharp, because like this type of like papers and plastic is very sharp, so be careful when using this. And I learned my lesson. And you can just see all that painted detail there. I didn't want to paint dots, and the designs were just gold, but I didn't want to paint them gold, so I just decided just to paint them silver. Went over them with gray, and then went over the gray with silver, and you can see that painted detail there. And the neck, and they're basically connected by a standard neck brace. I think it was like a fake Lego neck brace, which for some reason I sanded it like the inside of, because I was trying to make like an Iron Man figure, which had like the torso like just a little bit bulky. So I basically just applied like a bit of cardstock there, cut it out to the right shape, and just glued it on. But when it came to time to glue the wings, that was just so decent. And I was originally going to have like the wings 2 layers so that they won't break off at any point, but I decided not to do that. And that was just tedious on its own, just trying to glue the wings on. And then like after I glued the wings, I basically glued another 3D piece to the pack, just for it to look, just have like that pack look to it. And that was not easy. I literally had to hold onto here, just like for the wings to stay in place, and that took so long because I literally had to apply multiple layers of glue just for the wings to stay in place so that they won't break out, and then they kind of move a little bit, which is really just scary. But yeah, that was not easy. You can see all that paint detail on the pack right there. This was just my own custom mixed color paint on there, and you can just see all that detail that you see on the pack. So yeah, that's pretty much gonna be do it for the wings. Now we can and also I did paint on like these little, oh crap. I also did also did paint like those little, like, I don't know what they're called, but those little things onto there. So yeah. Now that we can talk about the rest of the figure, I'm just gonna put the head back on. The torso, the rest of the figure on its own was also very tedious to do, especially the torso. I actually finished the torso like right before I traveled, and one thing I didn't like about doing the torso was on how tedious it was, because especially like painting the breasts here, like they were just trying to get the shape of them as accurate as possible was not easy for me to do. And I had to go over with multiple layers of paint. And that's something you don't want to do when making Lego custom made figures. You don't want the paint to build up. It will just look so bulky and won't look that good. So that was like a really tedious thing. And also because yellow paint is very thick and very clunky. It's white paint, but it's not as like hard to work with. And that was not fun on its own. And the blue that you see on the figure, I actually got a new blue, which looks pretty good. And you can see all that paint detail into there. The back is just, I really didn't have any reference for the back, so I just kind of made my own design, and you can just see that design right there. And I didn't want to build up too many layers of paint so that like the wings could fit onto there without them like sticking out. And that was not fun on its own. The arms were also very, very tedious for me to do, especially painting like these blue designs here. That was not fun at all, and I absolutely hated to paint those blue designs, because I was trying to get these figures as accurate as possible. In my case, I really didn't have too much reference for Wasp, because apparently Marvel didn't give a crap to show much of Wasp's suit, which was just stupid on their part. But yeah, the legs were also tedious, and actually, it was actually the last part finished on this figure. You can see all that paint detail on the legs right there, which was not easy. The back of the legs are just like kind of like whatever, because I just want to be done with this figure. You can see that blue design continuing from there. This really doesn't connect like to like the blue line here, but whatever. You can see that the yellow design wrapping around on the minifigure's legs, and does wrap around on all four sides of the minifigure's legs, and so does like this silver design. It continues like on from one point here, but on the back, but the inside of the legs, it just go inside there. So yeah, that's pretty much gonna be it for Wasp. And like, if you want to see like a Wasp unmasked figure, like a masked head, just let me think of here. Want to see like an unmasked Wasp head? Here you go. I just used like my head from my Scarlet Witch figure and just like applied that black hairpiece there. I could have used this hairpiece and just painted it black, but if I just like applied it onto here, it just looks stupid on its own. So I do think this hairpiece just works. So yeah, now I'm just gonna put the figure back together and just stall. Also, Wasp's suit is actually way better than Ant-Man's, and I just like love like the comic accurate look to it. So yeah, that's pretty much gonna be it for the Wasp. And now let's move on to the Conqueror.
You're on the gun. Have I killed you before?
Now moving on to the final figure of the showcase, Jonathan Majors, Kang the Conqueror, our new big bad, our new Thanos of the multiverse saga. I've been excited to see Kang the Conqueror ever since he was teased in Loki, ever since He Who Remains, and like that cliffhanger ending was just insane. And knowing that Kang the Conqueror will be the new big bad of the MCU was just mind blowing for me. And I really didn't expect that. I thought he was gonna like a villain like for Ant-Man in the Avengers movie. I thought that was it, but that wasn't the case. That was just insane. But yeah, this figure on its own was just insanely tedious for me to make. I would say this is like the most challenging figure I've ever made, period, at the moment. And I did not want to miss out on anything of this figure. I wanted to get this figure done right. And it was actually a figure I was actually dreading, because I was trying to make sure, how can I do this right? Because if you make one screw up, then that's it. That's it. So I was being very careful on how I wanted to make this figure until I found out a way, because I was trying to figure out how was I going to do the chest plate, how was I going to do like the waist cape, and just everything in total was just insane for me to do. And that was just dumb. It was like insane on its own. But I managed to do it, and I literally spent like I think more than almost 2 months working on this figure, which is just, like I said, insane. So yeah, so we can finally start talking about the figure itself. The helmet is fully sculpted, except like for the face there, but the helmet is fully sculpted, and I did use, and the purple is actually my own custom metallic purple color that I used for this figure. And I was originally gonna use black, like I was originally gonna go on over the helmet like with black outlines, but I decided just to go with metallic black just for it to show more, and it does work. And you can see all that paint detail on the helmet. I really didn't have too much reference for the helmet, but whatever. You can see the metallic lights there. You can see them right there and there. And you can see all the paint detail there. The face on its own was tedious on its own, because I was trying to get like the right color like for his face. And that was not easy on its own. And just having to paint the face on there was just insane. I didn't want to make it a mixed color. I wanted to get into a color where I can just like, scrub the tiny bits of paint, just try to get the face right. And that does not really look like Jonathan Majors, but it still looks like Kang the Conqueror. And you can see like the eye marks, and like the design there is metallic blue and with a little bit of silver there. And that was tedious on its own. The eyes were originally silver, but I decided to like to paint them like in a normal blue, like with silver dots, which still look good. And you can see that painting detail like on the top of the helmet. And yeah, man, this helmet was just insane for me to do. I'm just saying, I'm using insane for everything in this figure because it was insane. It's like I just sculpted around like the face, so I just know where to paint. And I did kind of like paint over like the eyes of like the original print on there, just like for me to know where I was gonna paint the face. But yeah, moving to like the torso and like the rest of the figure, it's gonna get the cape out of the way. The cape is basically like the cape I used for my Doctor Doom figure, and I just like painted in a custom metallic green color, which you can see on the figure right there. Like the green on this figure is my own custom metallic green color that I just mixed and used for the torso, because I didn't want to use like the standard metallic green color. I just wanted to get like a metallic green color that could work for this figure. And you can see that there. You can see all that paint detail like on the top of like the cape there, and you can see all the purple outlines there, and it's looking pretty cool and pretty clean. So yeah, now the torso and like the chest plate took me so long just to even figure out, because I wasn't sure if I was originally gonna sculpt it or I was gonna like just paint it. But I decided just like to make it like kind of like a shoulder pauldron piece, like kind of like a piece that would like go there. You can kind of see that there. And like for like the arch, it's like I don't know what they're calling like these things that go like around the arms. I decided just like to make a like there's a shoulder pauldron piece that can just like kind of like it's like just go over the arms and just in a way that just looks good. And you can see that there, and you can see all that paint detail on there. This piece was a 3D piece, and so was the belt, and this belt buckle was also a 3D piece, along with these two sections right next to the buckle. And you can see all that paint detail there. And one thing you can notice on this figure is that on Kang's suit, it has like this diamond or has like this pattern on there. And I was looking at a reference to my Funko Pop, and I was like looking at it because after I finished painting like the design on the torso, like it just looked a little bit bland for me. So I decided just to paint all these lines here, and which moves us down to the skirt. And the skirt on its own was also ridiculous for me to make, because these because these custom skirt pieces are never easy for me to make, because I'm using cardstock and it's very kind of like fragile. It can break easily where you're trying to cut it, and that was just tedious, and that was like tedious and just ridiculous on its own. I think it took me around like maybe 4 hours just to get the right skirt piece done right. And so after I cut out the main skirt piece, I cut out a section. I cut out a different piece and just like applied it to the middle, because it had like that little bit of a drape piece down in the middle. And of course, I did paint the purple designs on there. And one thing I did with the purple is that before I applied the custom purple metallic color, I will go over it with normal purple just for the metallic purple just to show more. And I did do that. And as you can see on the skirt here, whatever it is, you can see that diamond shape pattern. And bro, I had to paint on all that diamond like pattern and design all around the figure, and that was just tedious on its own. It just took so long for me to paint all of that design on there. It was just ridiculous, and because I didn't want to the figure to look so bland, so I decided just to paint that on there. And this diamond-like pattern does not go around all over the main figure. I just wanted to go into the main figure. I just wanted to put in the parts of the main figure where it will actually show. And that was just not fun on its own. And you can just see all of that there. It just sucked. It was not fun. And you can see a bit of metallic black detail there, but it was just dumb and stupid for me to do. But I managed to pull it off and it looked so clean. And I love the way it turned out. So yeah, just getting these blue studs out of here, and we can talk about the arms. And one thing I was like trying to figure out with the arms is that I didn't want them, because when I'm applying the arms, I didn't want like this piece to get ruined, so I just applied multiple layers of glue. But the arms on their own were like, I thought the arms were gonna be a lot easier, but then when I looked at the reference, like Kang's arms, he doesn't have like a specific design. He just has like a bunch of like, I don't know, like armor pieces all around his armor. I don't get what's up with that. But I had to, of course, paint like the base design in black, and I had to go over with normal purple and go over with metallic purple, as you can see on there, and it looks pretty clean. And now we're on the gauntlets. The gauntlets, I was originally gonna put them like 3D piece, but it would just like look weird when I put like my Darth Vader arms on there. It just looked a little bit weird, a little bit too bulky. So I decided I decided to do the gauntlets with multiple thick layers of paint. I was like, go over them like with multiple thick layers of gray paint. Just for them to stick out a little bit more, just for it to give the figures a little bit more bulk. And you can see that there, and you can see the design painted onto the gauntlets here. And you can kind of see a bit of metallic blue, because I was looking at my reference. And when Kang is like shooting beams or whatever, like these designs here these lines here do seem to light up. So I decided just to use metallic blue just for them to light up. Just to give them the effect that they're lighting up, and it just look pretty cool. The back of the arms are just kind of like, you don't see, like this design does not continue right there, but whatever, it really doesn't matter. Now I really didn't paint any hand detail because I really wanted to put these blue studs on there, and if I did that, like the paint would just wear off. The back, I had no reference for the back. I had no reference for the back whatsoever. So basically, I basically just like did the exact same thing like with the front of the torso. I kind of like did the exact same design like on the front of the torso, but like made this just a little bit skinnier. The belt is also a 3D piece, and this does continue onto there. Kind of like the exact same design, and I did paint some black, and I did paint some like that black detail around there, and just look pretty good. And now removing the torso, and then we can finally talk about the legs. And of course, as always, you just can't seem to skip leg day. So like with the skirt mostly covering up most of the legs, I still wanted to paint detail and really didn't show, and you can see all that paint detail there. Now I really didn't paint the legs like in that metallic green color because I just didn't have enough of it. But I decided just to go with like with the normal dark green color I have, and just like as the arms, and like the arms, I basically painted all the black designs. I painted all the designs in black first, you know, go over it like with some metallic, go over it with a base color of green, just to overlap some mistakes. Now go over it with purple, and then go over it with metallic purple, and that was just insane on its own. The hip is black because these were black legs, and you can see that paint design, you can see that paint detail on the back of the legs, and the legs do wrap around on all four sides of the minifigures. The design does wrap around all four sides of the minifigures' legs. And I did want to like paint kind of like a bit of like a similar design, just like with lines, but I decided not to do that because I just want to be done with this figure. So yeah, now we can finally start wrapping up this showcase. Let me just stall until I put the figure back on. Now I do have a bit of like a unmasked head for Kang, just so I can just like put the figure back together. Just put the figure back together. I do kind of have like an unmasked head for Kang, and that's simply just like my Electro head for my like for my Spider-Man No Way Home project. Yes, it was like the only head I had that kind of looked like Jonathan Majors. I just removed the beard. I didn't really want to paint the neck because I usually use like an unmasked head of like my Sam Wilson Cap figure. But you can see that there. You can just kind of see a bit of like brown paint. I tried to paint the scars on last night. It really didn't look that well. But yeah, that's pretty much an unmasked Kang head if you want to see that. So yeah, that's gonna be it for Kang the Conqueror. I'm so happy on how this figure turned out. I think it's like my best figure today, and I think most of you will agree with me on that. But overall, guys, it's time to wrap up this video. Guys, that's going to be for my Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumaina showcase. Hope you all enjoyed. And also one thing I do want to mention, it's like some floating thing that Kang flies on. I don't know what it is, or like flying or like hologram circle, whatever it is. That's like just a Lego Dimensions piece I just used, and looks pretty good and looks pretty cool for Kang. But yeah, guys, that's going to be for my Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumaina showcase. I may make Cassie at some point, maybe, I'm not sure, but now I have more reference for her suit, I might make her, but we will see if I have time. But yeah, that's going to be for my first showcase video. I do have a lot more showcase videos coming in the future, like the Super Mario Bros. Movie, the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, The Flash, Across the Spider-Verse, Loki Season 2, The Marvels. This year's is going to be jam-packed for me, and I can't wait for you guys to see all those figures. And one thing I'm doing is that my birthday's coming up. It's coming around the 26th. Like, for my birthday present, I'm basically going to be getting, like, all the parts I need for my figures, because unfortunately I live in Kuwait, which minifigure parts are hard to come by, and the idiots at the Lego store where I live decided to close the build your own minifigure section, which was just insanely stupid on their part, because I don't think too many people were buying from there, except for me. So yeah. And one thing I do wanted to mention on some bad news, I'm not sure about this. There might be a chance where I might not watch the movie this weekend, because something bad happened with me and my sister yesterday, and that was not good. And my mom said, I did something bad with my friends to my sister, but she and I are cool now, because she and I are just like close with each other. But there could be a chance I might not watch the movie this weekend, and not even next weekend, because next weekend I'm going to like a Comic-Con like event called ComFest. Might be able to do some of my very first vlogging there. We'll see. But my mom's gonna tell me today that I might go watch Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumaina with my friends. And I heard that this movie is mixed, but I've not yet seen it for myself. I've just been avoiding spoilers. But I can't wait to see it when I do have the time. Let's hope tomorrow, because that's when I'm planning to go watch it with my friends. And then after that on Sunday, because since Sunday's a day off for me, I will be doing a stream of me just giving my overall thoughts and opinions on Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumaina if I do see it tomorrow. But let's hope. But overall, guys, that's going to be it. And I will announce something big, like around my birthday. And one thing, and also we also hit 400 subs recently, which just, oh my god, I actually just gained more subs now than I usually did. But yeah, thank you all for the support that you guys giving me. I will be doing my very first Q&A for my 400 sub special. That'll be my 400 sub special. I'll be basically doing my very first Q&A. So most likely like post a community post, and like just for you guys just to leave your questions down, and I'll get to them. But overall, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed, and let me know what you think of these figures in the comment section below. But yeah, guys, that's going to be in. This is Legomnews signing out. Have a great day, everyone.